Hello and welcome to yet another episode of 177 Nations of Tasmania. And today I'm talking with Grace from Vietnam. Now, the Vietnamese community has played an important role in Australia's migration history and continues to be one of the largest and most significant migrant communities in Australia as a whole. The community is relatively small in Tasmania, with perhaps just a few hundred members of the population, although that number has been gradually increasing over the last decade or so. However, Grace is not what many people would consider to be a typical Vietnamese girl, and she's done some really interesting and, might I say, rather adventurous things since she's been in Tasmania, which has been about 8 years, I believe. And I'm really looking forward to sharing some of those with you and hearing more about some of her experiences with adjusting to life in Tasmania and what some of the things have been that have helped her to be successful. So, Grace, could you start by telling us when and why did you come to Tasmania?
So I arrived on Valentine's Day in 2012. I remember it very well because it's quite special. So I had always wanted to study abroad to broaden my experience, and especially at that time, like 8 years ago, I was seeking some better quality education outside of Vietnam, especially with English. Like I never had a chance to properly speak English in Vietnam. I was looking at options to study abroad, and initially I wanted to go to Adelaide because, you know, the beautiful university there and the good tuition fees compared to Sydney and Melbourne. And my education agent, she suggested me to go down to Tasmania to study because like a very good tuition fee offer, and also it's like the only university of the state. It's quite high quality, and at first I didn't want to because I was like, Tasmania, I've never heard about that area before and I don't even know where it is, and I didn't even know where it is. And then she spoke to me more about it, and I was intrigued because, like, you know, something different. So and then especially like the main drive was that the tuition fee was half of what was offered in the mainland at that time. So okay, up I went to Tasmania.
And what did you study?
I did accounting, like, because I was doing like a Bachelor of Finance in Vietnam at the Foreign Trade University in Ho Chi Minh City, or Saigon. And so just to continue my business study, I did a Bachelor of Business majoring in accounting and finance because I heard that with accounting, I can immigrate. I can migrate to stay in Australia for a long time and also gain experience and maybe establish a new life here. So I decided to go down that route.
So the plan was always to settle eventually in Australia?
Yes, that's one of the main drive that I chose Australia over like England or America.
But if I remember rightly, your background in Vietnam, at least in education, was a bit different to accounting to start with.
Yeah, I had always been a quite ambitious girl. So I did I did a diploma of music performance in guitar at that time at the Conservatory of Music in Saigon, Ho Chi Minh City, because I had always wanted to be a musician, and then my family didn't think that it would be a stable career path, so they kind of direct me down the business road. But my heart was always set in music, so that's why I kind of went away against their wish to do music on the side, and I did it for 3 years before I had to give up to come here to study. But I had always kind of find a way back to music. My mom wanted me to study in business, of course, because she was hoping for that. She cared about me and wanted me to have a stable career, stable income, and maybe, so an easy life, I would say. But so I did okay in accounting. I studied hard because she put in such a huge investment in my study. So I tried to study as hard as I can and graduate with a good mark. So just to return her effort. Like it was such a hard time, the 3 years that I studied, because financially as well, and as well I tried to adapt to the new culture. And I remember like sitting in lecture, like couldn't understand a word and start falling asleep because my brain was overworked to try to understand the content of the lecture as well as understand English. Yeah, and worried about like what I'm gonna cook tonight for dinner, how I'm gonna get money to pay for rent the next week. Kind of, it was a hard 3 years, but I grew so much from that. And when I look back now, I had always thankful for my life in Tassie, because Tasmania is such a welcoming environment at that time. And everywhere I went, I met the people who made me myself today. So I'm grateful for everything Tasmania had to offer me and still have to offer. My parents are from Hanoi, but I was born in Saigon, Ho Chi Minh City, down south, and I grew up there. I stayed for the first 19 years of my life in Saigon, Ho Chi Minh City. The population density is very high. It's a very dynamic city. I remember riding motorbike for a good part of my adolescence. So it is a crazy city. I love it, and it's a love-hate relationship, because I grew so much, because that you get to meet people everywhere you go, and then it's a very dynamic, so you have to like keep upskilling yourself, but at the same time that process can make you stretch out. It can be really tiring, and it can be really noisy. So like Tasmania is a huge contrast. So when I first arrived here, like of course the culture was different. Of course there was stereotype. Like the first week that I arrived, I stayed with 2 Vietnamese students. Like they were alumni at UTAS, and they was talking to me of how people got discriminated, how there were so many racist people, and even like they warned me about that. Of course I was scared, and of course I was like, wow, this place is not like a friendly one. What have I done? But then word is word, and what fact is fact. Like when I started staying in accommodation at uni and get to meet my fellow student, like my housemate at that time, she's Hobart-ian. She born and bred in Hobart, and she was very welcoming. And I went to UTAS, and then I went to supermarket. I went to Salamanca, and like I've never seen a discrimination incident ever. Like people always smiling, helpful, welcoming, and they were very patient with my English at that time as well. So I was like, maybe it's just a rumor, it's just stereotype, and it's just a mindset that people have, like when they're scared of being discriminated. But actually, no, like maybe it's not what they say, I remember like when I used to volunteer at the Wilderness Society, and like people were so kind that they considered me like a part of their family. Like they took me to their place to have dinner, and I remember the lady, like she was quite elderly, and she took the effort to take me out to her garden and try to show me a wallaby, like because I told her that I've never seen a wallaby before, because I always stay in around Sandy Bay, and very rarely to see a wallaby or a possum, and it was pitch black at night, and she was like with her light on, her torch, and try to find a wallaby to show me. Like she's so kind, and it's like such memories stay with me like forever. So that's why like the challenge bit, it's just my mind, it's just the thought, like the little voice in my head, and then I try to train it to tell me that you can do it, Grace, you can do it.
You obviously had some really good experiences with meeting locals that made a difference to you. If you were to offer some advice to sort of newcomers here, what do you think is a good tip you could give about getting to know local people here better?
I have a couple. So firstly, just make sure that you go out more, honestly. Even if you are an introverted person and you just prefer to sit in your room and play a game or read a book, it's worth the effort to come out more when you arrive into a new place. It just helps you with your language. It's help you with like meeting new people and like overcome that barrier and come out you to grow. So that's something. So even like maybe just go down to Salamanca market. like every Saturday and go into a vegetable shop and try to talk to the seller, like, how do you call this kind of vegetable in English? Like, just simple like that, but it's gonna help you so much with your self-esteem and your confidence. So that's one bit, and especially, always try to speak English as much as you can. If you didn't have the chance to like speak it often at home, it's gonna help. Like, maybe you feel stupid with the way you speak, or maybe you feel like, my language skill is never gonna be good enough, but just keep trying, because way down the track you're gonna thank yourself for it. Just to integrate with the life here, go out more and you meet people. I'm consider myself as a very introverted person actually, but I do take the effort to come out and meet people. It's gonna help so much. In Vietnam or in some of the Asian country in general, we have a very collective mind. So everyone is a community drive thing. So when you do something, you need to look out for the other people, what they think, whether you fit in, whether it's gonna affect other your family, your parents. Like, you need to save their face. Don't do naughty things. Otherwise, here is quite more individualism. You are you, and you're responsible for your own life. Like, what you do don't affect others. I remember my friends, I don't know whether all other Australians are like that, but my friends say that I just do what I want. My mom don't care because I'm grown up already, I'm over 18 years old already. I don't know. It's just I can't say for everyone, but it's just quite many of my friends have that mindset, like they are their own person. Whilst in Vietnam, like when I went back for my wedding in March this year. So although it was my wedding, but it got affected by so many other people in my family. I have to invite nearly 500 people into my wedding reception, because they're all the little connection, like my mom's colleague and their family, and then my in-law colleague and someone that they've done business with or something like that. So it's very community driven, very collective. Whilst here, maybe you have 30 or 60 people to your wedding because they only closely related to you, not to your family.
You said you got married in March.
Yeah.
So you just in time, just before the whole pandemic.
We were very lucky. I don't know whether you would believe in this kind of thing or not, but in Vietnam, we the traditional astrology is very important in our lives. It's actually some of the people very, very much believe in that. So when we have some significant event in our life, for example, like buying a house, build a house, getting married, or even funeral or something like that, we would look at the star sign, make sure that it's matching. So my mom was looking at, I've been with my partner for a few years, and then my mom was like, well, when are you gonna get married? And then next year is gonna be a good year, so do it. And I was like, Mom, we're not ready. Then she was like, otherwise you're gonna have to wait for about 3 more years before you can consider about the wedding. And then our grandparents is quite old, so we spoke about it and we said, okay, follow the stars. So and then coincidentally the star helped us finish the wedding just before the pandemic hit Vietnam in a large scale. So somehow it makes sense.
And also you're able to get back in time.
Just in time. I think a week after we arrived back in Australia and we were in quarantine, the Australian government shut the border. When I left school, it was like an empty feeling, because I worked so hard during my uni time. And when I reached the end, I was like, now what? What I'm going to do? At school, it's very clear, you get good mark, you pass the unit, the goal was that's always very clear. And then when you finish school and start going to the real world, there's so many options. There's so many potential that you can take. So I got a little bit lost after school. And but then thank God, I was very blessed to have my first job at Hadley's Hotel. With Hadley's, I grew a lot from Hadley's Hotel as well, and I learned a lot about the hospitality industry in Tasmania. And I tried to be the best version of myself. There was so many things I didn't know, so many life skills I didn't have.
What was an example of one of those life skills?
Like, like for example, like first aid. I didn't get to do first aid, or like, how to work out correctly. Like during university, I was like working at the restaurant at night, studying in the morning, never have time to go to gym. I participated in any sport event. So like like when you go into the gym and how to use like a machine in the gym, like even how to turn on the treadmill and set the treadmill to work out, it's actually quite a fair bit to learn. So so I try to do that. Like, I try to be a more holistic version of myself, like not just work, not just earning money, but also like spirituality, health, relationship, kind of. I try to be more rounded and holistically. So of course, like if I just focus on working, I will earn a lot of money, but then I will pay with my health, I will pay with my relationship, I will be very lonely, and I didn't want that. So I'd rather just everything moderate. Like I try to go out more. I try to go to different events, participated in like all sorts of activity that you've seen me with the musical.
I saw.
Yeah.
Was it a musical or a play? I can't remember.
A musical, yeah.
What was the musical?
It's called Avenue Q. It's a Broadway script.
And that was at the Playhouse.
Playhouse Theatre.
Because I remember seeing the poster and I thought, oh my God, it's Grace. I was really surprised. Oh, good. I mean, obviously, it got my attention, because I knew you, and I was like, oh, great. But also because it's so rare to see in Hobart an Asian person in a play.
Yeah.
So I'm hoping that's so you're a what's the word? Pioneer in a way.
I wouldn't call myself pioneer. Maybe there's other play before, but like I think I dare say I'm one of the first Vietnamese member of the community here participate in a play in something like that down here.
So how did you get involved with that?
So before I was a member of the Southern Gospel Choir at the Conservatorium. Like I told you, I always want to go back to music. So the choir was a good start for me, and I enjoyed it so much. And one of my friends there, Andrew Morrisby, he's friend with the music director of the musical Avenue Q. His name is so Andrew Morrisby know Aaron Paul, and Aaron sent me an email saying that we're looking for like someone to play an Asian character. So like please don't take this the wrong way, but the character has to be Asian to bring out the aspect that they want to deliver in the musical. So because basically the character want to fight off the stereotype that they have with Asian all around. So this character is very different. She has strong personality. She has her own voice. She's like the soul of her family. So they invited me, and I was like, that's something new. And I'm a bit crazy in the sense that when I see something new, I want to jump into it. So I auditioned to the part, and lucky me, I got the part. So I enjoy every single minute of it. Like theater world is a beautiful world, and I get to meet so many beautiful people, very talented people. Like one of the girl won an Enroll Award. It's like a theater award, and I get to know how a musical is set up, how to create a musical through the process. So I'm grateful for that experience. So I play a character called Christmas Eve. She's Japanese, and she's migrated to New York. Have a very fat husband, very lazy husband, and her husband was unemployed for a long time. So and then like I've read about it with at least in American document, like they always perceive Asian women as submissive, where like never have their own voice, always follow their husband, and like very suppressed in a way in their lives, don't have a career, just homebound, something like that. So this character is like the opposite. She has a strong voice in her family. Her husband follow whatever she say, and she has 2 master degree, very smart. So it is an interesting character. So that's why I think it's a very meaningful one, and I loved it. I think I was very judgmental when I was younger. And then here I learned about different people from different backgrounds. I learned to empathize with people. I tried different type of food. Like I used to work at an Indian restaurant down in Sandy Bay, Chile's. And I get to eat like different type of Indian food every day. Before I couldn't do it because the spice was so strong. But then when you really embrace it, I learned the beauty of it. Yeah, and then I have a friend from Saudi Arabia. Like, can you imagine just a small example? Like in Vietnam, when I thought of yogurt, I thought of sweet yogurt with fruit, with jam, and I ate sweet yogurt for 20 years. And then when I came here, they actually have sour yogurt, like no sugar, and they put on top of meat. They have it with kebab and, couscous and things like that. It's like, wow, I've never eaten like this before. And at first, I was scared of the idea, but then when I tried it, I was like, wow, it's just a nice balance between grace and sourness, and it's so like creamy, like it's amazing. So I learned to keep an open mind, and if I find myself become really judgmental of something, I was like, just take a breath, take a deep breath, and try to look at it in a different perspective, because that's what makes Tasmania amazing. Like, when I can only imagine how the local people try to be open-minded and embrace the newly immigrant coming here, and I think I do the same. I will do the same.
But is there anything that you particularly miss about Vietnam or Vietnamese culture when you're here?
I do miss a lot. I'm like, especially the song. Okay. I remember the first month when I arrived here, I actually just keep listening to Vietnamese song again and again and again, because in Vietnam I have a group of ballroom dancing people. Like, we dance at the park, and dancing make me happy. Feel so happy. So when I arrive here, I don't have that group anymore. And I find myself just listening to that song like day in, day out, every single minute, like just repeating the song. I didn't know that it was homesick until like I realized, yeah, maybe I miss it so much. Yeah. And I miss the food, of course, because something very simple like a rice dish can took hours and so much effort to recreate here. Because the ingredient is different, the price is different, and like just to gather, like run around from Asian shop to Asian shop, try to find all the ingredient. It's not readily available. Yeah. So like just a very simple rice dish can take days to make, and that make me realize how easy I had it in Vietnam. And like nowhere is like home. Like, when I was younger, I was like, yay, I'm going to try something new, going to a new place and learn something new every day. But then now I get older, I realize that like a part of me has always been Vietnamese. And the more I embrace it, the more I appreciate who I am. And it helped me to open my heart to other people. I got my first job at Hadley's Hotel. So before it's through my network. So basically, I learned about it right the first day I was at uni. So back then, I was very people warned me about the job potential in Tasmania. There's not so many jobs available, and I was very worried because I took a big loan to pay for my uni. So I need to make sure that I can find a job after school to pay back. So I went to ask for the international student advisor at that time, and I was like, how am I gonna get a job? I'm very scared of that. And she just smiled at me and said, Grace, Hobart is a small city, so everyone tend to know each other. And people would choose the people they know over someone that they don't know. So from there, I was like, okay, I gotta get people to know about me. So it's linked back to the part where you need to go out more and talk to more people strategically. So I expand my network within university and try to get to know people in industry more, and I get to meet my mentor, and now, like my proxy parent now, Polly Venning, and she's an amazing lady at that time. That she took me in and she took me to function, and she was so kind. Like she do things that I wouldn't even expect. Like she would pay for my ticket to go to a very big function. For example, like the budget breakfast where I get to hear the premier talk about like the budget for Tasmania for the next year is huge, and she paid for it for me. She took me to different functions to introduce me to people and taught me to create my own business card, exchange business card with people to get the people in industry to know about me. So I get to go to Mondelez, the Cadbury factory. I get to meet people working in Hayes recruitment, and hence I get to know people at the old Woolstar apartment hotel. And at that time, they was like, oh, they're looking for a food and beverage attendant, basically just a waitressing job. Polly introduced me there and was like, just apply. You don't know what you're gonna get. And so thanks to my network, I get my first job at the Woolstar, and that job was very nice because they have better pay than other jobs. I learned about the process of how a hotel works as well. So I worked there for a year, and then the Woolstar bought Hadley's Hotel, and they need a new accountant. So I decided to apply, and it's linked back to what my student advisor said, like people would choose the people they know before someone else. They already know me. I already worked at the hotel for a year. So my odds was bigger, and I get to be their assistant accountant. And so that's how I got my first job. So networking is super important in Tasmania. Like people know someone, they know someone else. Just keep linking the bridge, and somehow you get there. Tap into the hidden job market, I think.
Yeah, I used it in another interview a few days ago. I used the term secret circle. You've got to break into the secret circle in Tasmania, because that's a really great story. I hope many people listen to your advice.
So to add to that, like you gotta be really genuine. So you gotta be who you are when you're networking. So like when they say they know you, like they know your true person, like your true personality, your skill, and they know you, they get to know you as a person. So to be able to gain that kind of quality network, you need to be really true to who you are. You need to know who you are. You need to be genuine. So when you have that mindset when you network, you're more likely to gain quality network, whilst otherwise it's just only waste your time without getting you anywhere. If you're not being true to yourself, you know what I mean? Like they know you, but they don't really know like your real person. It's not a quality network. So and there's so many kind people out there. Like I learned that when people reach to a certain level of success, they really genuinely want to help others to be as successful as they are. It's just a message I want to send to my audience, is that just really trust in the goodness of humanity, I guess. Like there are so many kind people out there, and just go out there and meet them.